Community Investment Board of Managers meeting for July. Mr. Auditor, will you call the roll, please?
Ms. Conley,
Present.
Ms. Crapo,
Present.
Mr. Bennett,
Here.
Mr. Marvel,
Here.
Mr. Schweitzer,
Here.
Mr. Patterson, Mr. Witt.
All right, 2 members missing. We do have a quorum, correct?
Yep.
Item number 4 on the agenda is approval of last month's minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to look at minutes, read them over?
President Marvel, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Minutes, motion's been made to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Motion made by Commissioner Schweitzer. Approval by Terry Conley. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is passed. Item number 5, I guess maybe I should recognize some people in the audience. Especially the young lady back there on the wall, our county commission lady. Good morning, Vicky. And haven't seen you forever.
And there's Tom Packer sitting there,
Ah,
newest member.
yes,
Yep.
yes. Good morning, Todd. Item number 5, a special order of business, 5.1, a discussion of the CIB operating budget process and the status with Jason Simler of Baker Tilly. Good morning, Jason.
Morning, Jason Sindler, Baker Tilly. I don't have anything to present this morning to the board, but just to report, Dave Anderson from Spectrum, I've had a number of conversations, and he's, next year will be a convention center opening in April, May timeframe. There'll be a stub year where they'll be in operation. So they're working on that right now as far as what the operating budget's going to be. We're working on some other expenses that the CIB, you've been paying through this year that will continue through next year. So we're working on that, putting that together behind the scenes. We'll probably have some internal calls and meetings this month, and we should be able to present you a draft of the budget at your next meeting.
We're running a little behind as far as the budget process is concerned, actually a month. So we may have to have a special meeting sometime here in the very near future. We can't wait until August 16th or 17th, whatever it would be, because the council is currently in their budget hearings, so we
Another
have to get prepared for that. I know Spectra is working hard on getting a budget together.
John, something I've got, I think we need to find, is the CIB budget subject to the same advertising and first reading, second reading rules as the city and the county are for budget adoption? We need to find that out.
Is Doug here? Brian Bosma is not here today. He's on a trip.
If,
And he said that,
if that's the case, we might have to have 2 meetings.
Yeah, so
in
we need
August.
to ask that question, so I would present that to Brian and ask him what our process is. And then share that with the group. So you're probably right. And I have a feeling it probably will follow the process, but let's find out for sure.
Right. Thank you. Number 6, old business, 6.1, an update on the construction progress. Brian Koistra of Garmon Construction Services. Good morning, Brian.
Morning, John. Morning, members of the board. Another month, another update. I'm Brian Koisher with Garmon Construction. So for the month of July, wrong button. Budget, current GMP amount is $26,535,109. This reflects an addition of about $142,000, which is a result of change order 10, which, rewinding a month ago, we presented change order 10. It consisted of about 10 items. It was lacking one signature, pretty much was, for the most part, approved at that point. However, we reported it as pending. So this GMP amount reflects where we're at as of the end of June. Schedule, project is currently on schedule. In all reality, ahead of schedule. I think the plan is going to be get past this summer, get into the fall, and we will be ready to commit to possibly an earlier turnover date. However, I'm somewhat cautious on making sure some of the materials we need to finish the building are able to arrive on time, which I have no reason to believe they won't be, but just want to wait a couple more months until we commit to an earlier delivery date. With that, recent progress, lots to report. Interior limestone, you'll see a picture of that here shortly, has been installed in the pre-function area. The EFIS, which is the plaster application on the outside of the building, it's done on the west and south elevations of the building. They're now working on the north elevation. Glass installation, I talked last month about how excited I was about the glass. They are in the final stages of installing it. Currently working on the Larry Bird Museum area, which is really the remaining area for glass installation. So if all goes well this week, all the glass will be installed. The ballroom ceiling, that framing is complete. It's been maybe month and a half of work just framing that ceiling. You'll see a picture of that shortly, but a lot of work has gone into that. The elevator in the convention center is about halfway complete, and we've started to install some mechanical equipment such as water heaters, water softeners. And then you'll see there's 3 locations, and I've got a picture, but we've got temporary cooling units that have been brought in to dehumidify the space and get it under temperature control without having to run the permanent units. So we've brought those in to help acclimate the building as we move forward and start heading towards drywall finishing and paint. The parking garage, we are days away from being 100% with pouring all the concrete. Floors 5 through 2 are all poured. We're working on the ground level right now, so had a lot of progress. I think when I was here a month ago, we hadn't even started the topping slab. So been able to pour a lot of concrete this month despite some of the weather. And then the parking garage, really focusing our efforts on the ground floor. Upcoming, so in the next month, we anticipate completing all the EFIS. So really in the next month, the exterior of the building will be getting enclosed or substantially complete. The glass installation should be done this week. Drywall finishing will begin or has begun. We'll install some temporary doors at the front entrance and the rear entrance to start to really enclose the building, secure it, and allow the building to acclimate temperature and humidity wise. And then probably later this week, exterior improvements are going to begin. So we're going to start on the area between the convention center and the Copper Bar. Start bringing, we've got some underground storm drainage to put in, kind of grade that area, sidewalks, pavers, the hardscape that really make the exterior of the building. That work will begin in the coming month. We'll begin, as I mentioned, between the convention center and the Copper Bar. and then head down along Wabash. And then also, believe it's, next week, we're going to begin the connector to the Hilton Garden Inn. That will begin next week. Parking garage, got to pour the first floor concrete slab. They're installing the roof over the stair and elevator towers right now, and then the elevator installation will begin in the parking garage. There's 2 elevators in the parking garage, and that material arrived yesterday, so that installation will start here shortly. Now it's picture time. So here's a shot from the webcam. You can see a lot of changes have taken place on the south elevation of the building. This is the glass along the pre-function area along Wabash Avenue. That is the glass that was being installed yesterday on the Larry Bird Museum. This is a shot from the roof of the parking garage. Looking down to the left of the photo is the copper bar. To the right is the convention center. You can see things starting to take shape there. Also from the roof of the parking garage is a shot at the north elevation of the building. This is in the light blue, that's where the EFIS is being installed currently. This is just a shot of kind of the northeast corner of the convention center taken from the parking garage. I mentioned the ballroom ceiling and the amount of work that took place there. You can see all the framing and drywall that's currently in place, and that'll be infilled with ceiling tile, but definitely a focal point of the ballroom. This is the pre-function area. To the left, you can see the limestone veneer that's been installed that kind of replicates what's on the exterior of the building along Wabash. This is a shot from the second floor of the convention center looking south out to Wabash Avenue in the room that's referred to as the boardroom. These are the temporary air conditioning units, so don't be alarmed, those are not permanent. They're not going to be sitting out in front of your building. But we've got 3 of those positioned around the building that are tempering the interior space. Took this really as a before shot. So this is taken basically from the front door of the Hilton Garden Inn looking east towards the convention center, just to show, excuse me, where the connector will be. If you see about middle of the photo, there's the start of the blue awnings. That is where the connector starts and then runs east to the convention center. Kind of a hard photo to see, but that'll start taking shape later this month. Parking garage, just a different look, kind of with our back to the convention center with the copper bar to our right. We're looking kind of in a northeast direction here. Here's a shot of basically pick what floor, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of the convention or of the parking garage. They all pretty much look the same now, but we're getting close to putting some finishing touches on the parking garage. This is a shot from the roof of the parking garage. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
The equipment for the garage, is it here, the gates and?
I would defer that to Mr. Schaefer from Nations Group. They're supplying the material to us. They've given us the details, and we've roughed our conduits in to accept those. But as far as delivery, I'm not exactly sure when they're arriving.
Looking good.
Any other questions?
No, that's good, Brian.
All right, thank you.
Brian, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6.2, an update on the convention center management with Spectra venue management. And Tennille, good morning.
Good
Tennille.
morning. We do have the parking garage folks coming in next week. They're going to come in and walk the site. We wanted to make sure that they're crystal clear on where everything needs to go and that the right equipment was spec'd. We felt it was better to have them come in. So next week they'll be here, and someone with construction will be walking that with them as well. So we do have that set up. For our Director of Operations position, we've got 2 candidates. We'll have a decision on that by the end of the week. So I'm hoping to be able to make an announcement next week on who that employee will be. So that'll be our second hire. As far as construction, we've been going through looking at wayfinding signage and the monitors that are outside the rooms, identifying, the best locations for those, looking into software programs that will work effectively with the booking system that we use for the convention center. We had a meeting with the key vendor to go through and identify what all of the doors in the buildings will have, as far as hard keys, proximity cards. Ultimately, in the future, we'd like to get to full proximity cards at some point, just for safety and security reasons. We've been reviewing security cameras, the locations on the site plans. We've got them coming in. We had a phone call with them last week, and we've got them coming in again next week to actually walk the site, walk the parking garage, looking for any blind spots that we might find might be a safety hazard, so that we can make sure that we're covering everything. Dave and I have been going through and scrubbing the FF&E list, so any items that we feel might be missing from the FF&E we'll have itemized separately as capital so that we can present that in the future. I've been looking into event layout software that would be financially feasible for our budgets. And Dave and I continue to participate on the museum calls, so we're trying to stay in tune with that as well. As far as community involvement, weekly I'm meeting with community members. I've spent a lot of time with the general manager of the Hilton Garden Inn. We've talked a lot about their occupancy there and the need for the next hotel that will be coming in the future. I spent some time with the associate director of business operations of residential life at the campus. We have 3,000 rooms that can be utilized in the summer for conferences, which is really fantastic. So it kind of gives us another target for summer conference business. So that's pretty exciting. There's a wealth of inventory there. I've met with Daniel and Sarah Pigg, who run the Ohio building. We've talked about how we can partner together to create an experience using their tastings for, some of our event attendees. Talked about utilizing their wine in the building. Just how we can partner together, to help utilize each other for events that we need. I've also been talking with the Chamber and the Children's Museum, and I've met with the Chancellor of Ivy Tech to talk about internship programs and future employment for students. On the marketing front, we have a Facebook page now, so like us, check back often. I'll start posting pictures of construction on there as well. We have secured the terrehotecc.com, and we'll have a temporary site up probably in the next day or so, just something that more of an initial splash page, just gives basic information, a way for folks to contact us, and if they've got an event that they want to plan, there'll be a form that they can fill out so that I can get the details and get a proposal to them. So that's where we are right now. Any questions?
Sounds like you're kind of busy over there.
I'm very busy. I've had a few days where I've had meeting after meeting after meeting, but it's good. I have to just block out some time the next day to get caught up, but it's really good. Been really good. Oh, and I do want to thank Garmung. Mark has been exceptional. Anytime I come to him with questions on site plans, he jumps right in and finds the answers. And Todd with Nations Group has always been, he's gotten right back on the phone with me or returned emails so quickly. So they've been really great to work with.
Well, they're also providing you an office.
Yes.
Which
Very convenient.
is very convenient. So we appreciate that very much, Brian.
Thank you. Okay.
Board have any questions?
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item 6.3, an update on the Larry Bird Museum design with Todd Schaefer of the Nations Group. Good morning, Todd.
Morning, Mr. President, members of the board. Update on the museum. Hilferty Design has their concept plan ready for review by the museum committee for the Terrell Convention Center. They'll be sending out an invite here very soon. Have all of you join on a call to walk you through their conceptual design, which is how they see to tell the story of Larry Bird and his life and his career in the spaces provided, and get your input and feedback on that. And then once that is reviewed and moving forward on that concept or with some comments, they will work with Shelley Keene on how to integrate the memorabilia inventory into that design to provide a full museum experience. So I'll let Shelley give the update on her side of that.
I had an opportunity to talk with Mr. Gibson yesterday about the memorabilia, and the memorabilia will be brought down to the building that he owns now, the Hallman Building, very soon, very shortly. So her role will expand greatly as soon as that's done.
Okay, that's great. That sounds like good timing with the concept of the museum. Good.
All right.
I do have a question regarding the design, obviously, with museums. What about the plaza area and other areas that have changed?
About the construction timeline? Is that your question?
Not the construction timeline, just the overall, the entire parcel of the property?
Oh, the exterior, yes. The update on that is we have a revised design on that based on what's happening with some of the adjacent properties with the utility, the relocation, and the state office building not being a courtyard facility. So we have that design and we priced that out, and we'll be ready to present that in the change order next month. It's changes from the original design 4 years ago. A lot has changed since 2017. We created the budget, the original design in that area, in that block. So we have all that captured now, and we're ready to present that and move forward. That'll all be complete at the opening of the building, with the rest of the building and construction.
Obviously, there has been quite a large design change made when Marriott didn't go into the state office building. So all of that area in front of the state office building was redesigned, correct?
Correct, yes. Yeah, you want to have that all, work with the convention center and the garage now without that building taking up the space it was going to. So it all flows and brings people in from the campus and the north part of the site, and to access the parking garage with the parking from the state office building and the north side of the convention center. So it all is integrated design now with that part not being built out like it was going to be. So it should be a real nice experience once it's all done, both pedestrians and cars, with good access to the convention center from all sides.
But where are we on the budget? Maybe this question should go to Jason, but are we still under or at the budget? We haven't increased the budget any?
As far as the project budget, no, we have not. We're at or under the budget, and that's something we'll be working through the next month with you, just to see where we're at, where we're going on that. Based on our original budget from 2017, we're still in good shape. This definitely takes a little bit out of it, but we're still at or under, correct.
Questions? Item 6.4 is an update on equipment purchases.
Yeah, so as Tenniel said, they're working on looking at, we have proposed furniture, signage, parking equipment, and they're working to go through that list with the vendors that have been selected to make sure it's the right product for the right spaces, and the chairs have the right padding for a couple hour-long presentations and things like that. So they're working under that contract we already have signed with these vendors to make sure it's the right material before it's ordered. And we have secured that the lead times, once they make these decisions, will be here in more than enough time to load the stuff into the building and open on time. Furniture, I think we're real close on that. Spectra needs another week or so to get that stuff dialed in, and we'll actually place the orders for the furniture. That's probably 4 to 5 month lead time until that stuff is ready to show up. Parking equipment, that has been ordered. The order's been placed. They The vendor came out, we checked the rough in places with the Garmong to make sure the conduits are in the right places and the islands for all the gates and all the equipment. But Tennille said she's going to go through that with the vendor here in the next week or so, the operation of it to make sure she fully understands it, and then they'll place the order for production. That stuff's set to arrive, again, 3 to 4 months. We knew that when we purchased it, so November-ish. That can be installed. Until then, when the garage is finished, they can just put barricades up to make sure nobody parks in there that's not supposed to be parking in there. We might have some contractors parking in there in the meantime. Signage, we're going through that now, making sure we have the signage works with Spectra's program, how they're going to operate the building, making sure they have the right notification and places for announcements in the right locations before we go ahead and place that order. So there might be a couple updates and changes on that, just because we changed some rooms since the signage has been out for a bit a few months ago. And then Spectra's, like she said, also working with the upcoming Director of Operations or with another venue's Director of Operations to look at some of the building operations, maintenance and equipment, kitchen smallware stuff, to finalize that list so then we can work together to place that order here, or get that RFP out, or several RFPs for that category here in the next month or two for delivery by first of the year.
Any question?
I just have a question regarding audio video applications that we have budgeted, but doesn't include that contracts or has that started that negotiations or?
So, like earlier, that budget was created in 2017 when the design of the project started. So that was the category we had in FF&E. We worked with our architect CSO, and they had a consultant that could design the audio-video communications, IT portion of the project. So we went ahead and had them do that so we can get better pricing and get that design dialed in. So, and they had parking equipment. We had parking equipment as a design by CSO. It's kind of a long story. I'll try to make it short. So we had them design the AV and IT infrastructure, put that on the plan so we can get bid numbers. Garmon got several contractors to quote that, and one was successful. So we got good numbers to bid on that. But the parking equipment, and this is back before I was on the project, some things change, technology changes over time, and the parking equipment's one of those are rapidly changing with pay by phone and all that stuff. So we took that as an FF&E item to bid that out closer to the project completion date, which is what we did. So I'm working with Baker Tilly. There's been categories that were created in 2017 that were changed with the design and the design team to get things integrated into the plans for bidding versus buying things separately closer to the project completion time. So we have to clean up the names and the categories on there to more align with what we've done since the 2017 original budget and design concept. The budget remains the same, and we will not go over that budget, but some of the categories have changed, how we've gone through the design process and worked with CSO and now Spectra to get things in line with how they want to manage a project in the categories that were bid, and now we see better as buying here closer to the time of the completion of the building. Is that?
Does, I was just, since it shows that there's $400,000 under budget, but are you telling me
The AVIT, it's part of Garmong's number now. We put in design, we had that design so they could bid that, and parking equipment and it's signage. It might be something else that were in the original CSO design that removed the FF&E. So it's like a swap, for lack of a better word. We'll clean up the categories to represent better what we've done now that we're at that point in the project.
Answer your question? Any other questions? All right, thank you, Todd.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6.5, an update on the project budget with Jason Simler of Baker Tilly. Good morning, Jason.
Morning. I handed out, you should have received an updated monthly budget a couple of days ago, and I'll just kind of go through that. You'll notice that there's a few more columns than what you've seen the last few months, and working with the Finance Committee and Todd, we're trying to answer some of the questions that you had and some that you had this morning. And so we've added a couple extra columns. I'll kind of go through that with you this morning. If you have any questions stop, I'd be happy to answer them. The first column there is the original budget, so that goes back to what we assumed back in January and really back 2017 when we issued the bonds a couple of years ago. And then based upon those line items, as Todd mentioned, that we were using back then, you can see the total project total hasn't changed. It's still at $34,891,000 that we've been showing all along. The second column, that's a new column that we've added. That's the current contract costs. Again, so the first one is kind of what was budgeted. The second column is actually contracts that are in place or that we anticipate will be in place. So for instance, the design service, you have $1,950,000. The current contract is $1,816,000. We're showing that we're under budget by about $133,000. Now, I will be cautious there because there are some just kind of monthly miscellaneous expenses that are incurred. So there's a chance that some of that $133,000 will be used. But based upon the current contract, we have $133,000 under budget. Talking to Nations Group, even with the additional costs that might come in, the miscellaneous costs, we'll still think we'll be under budget, but maybe not by the $133,000. You can see the under the hard construction cost, you can see the new construction. It has increased slightly just from some change orders from $26,238,000 to what Garmong presented earlier this morning, $26,535,000. So increase of $296,000, but you can see that increase was covered by the contingencies, project contingencies there at the bottom. And that's why you have contingencies, because, as a project like this, there's going to be things that change over time. So the contingencies have covered all those different changes. And then as we were just discussing the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, you can see the original budget, and then you can kind of see the current contract costs. And as was mentioned, there's some line items there that we're showing now, the parking garage that we didn't show before. And as was talked about, the audio video, the $409,000. Originally budgeted $409,000. There's nothing in the budget on this line item, and that's because that cost is now being incurred in the line item above under the new construction. So it's still being funded. You're still receiving that asset, if you would. It's just being shown in a different line item now. So overall, based upon current contract cost, you can see we're about $213,000 under budget. You can see the cost paid to date, $19.5 million. So if you compare the cost paid to date with the current contract cost, there's still a little under $15.2 million remaining to be paid. Be happy to answer any questions.
No, this is just what we were looking for, as we talked about, Jason, so this is good.
Yep.
Now, on the new budget, are we going to kind of clean up some of that, or will we try to still maintain the historical original budget?
I'll leave that up to you. I kind of wanted to keep that because I didn't want to, just come in this month and just throw something new at you without
Right.
kind of comparing, apples to apples. So I'll defer to you if you want to keep that original budget or just start with the current
I
contract.
don't know, we'll just have to discuss that. I just
Yeah.
wondered what the new budget will look like. That's fine.
Yeah, again, I
'Cause
just
not
didn't want
everybody's going to
to.
remember the history, and
Right.
I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I kind of want to go where we started and where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a little pathway there. But yeah, for going forward, we can kind of eliminate one of the columns if you prefer.
I appreciate the additional comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just overall, I know you probably know this, but just for the audience, the food and beverage is coming in strong. You had your strongest month in July, what you received. So for the same 6-month period, or a 7-month period for 2021 compared to 2020, you're about $200,000 more in collections than you were last year. So things looking well cash flow wise.
Good. Any further questions, Jason? Okay, Thank you, Jason.
Item 6.6, an update on memorabilia cataloging. Shelley?
Good morning. Not to be repetitive, but my update was kind of already provided. I'm looking forward to being able to actually see what Hilferty has put together as far as the plans for all of the layouts. I'm really, really excited to move forward with being able to have a secure location to actually put the memorabilia in so that we can kind of move forward with the cataloging and get, going full speed ahead. So my updates were already kind of provided. Happy birthday, Mr. Schweitzer.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I didn't hear anybody else mention it. I really don't have anything else because we're still early on with it.
Questions?
Yes, could you give us an overview on the items that you have been able to locate and obtain?
I can. The ones that I've personally been able to actually, set eyes on and see, touch and feel are the ones that are actually over in Mr. Gibson's home right now. As far as, what that consists of, a little bit of everything. You've got everything from jerseys to photos to posters to, you've got seating from inside the garden. I mean, it is a massive collection. So to be able to go ahead and put it into a secure site, it's going to speed up this process. Instead of having to try and make arrangements to go in and out of his home, this puts it into a location where I can kind of come and go a little bit more freely. So, and it is a safe location.
He did tell me that he's going to make arrangements for you to go down to French Lick,
Yes.
maybe as soon as next week. And there's several items down there that
Right.
catalog.
Right. And I had not personally been able to lay eyes on those myself, so I didn't want to speak on something I hadn't actually already seen.
Sure.
Would it be possible for the board to receive a spreadsheet of those items that are potentially going into these exhibits?
Once the cataloging begins, yes, there's an actual software program that is used. It's an app that is specifically for cataloging. And you'll be able to actually go in at any time, and you can not only see the items, it'll have photos of them and a description of each individual item as well. And I think that that's probably a little bit more complete than a spreadsheet anyway, because you can actually see with your own eyes what we have to deal with.
And when will that be available?
The software is already available. What the delay has been was being able to start cataloging without having to continuously go into Mr. Gibson's home. So once it's moved off-site over closer to the actual museum itself, then, I don't have a specific time frame for you because a lot of it's going to depend on how quickly we can get the memorabilia over there. The sooner it gets over there, then the sooner I can go in and start going through it.
So when do you anticipate moving that from his house into there? I mean, what's the rough timeline?
I don't have a timeline on that as of
Okay.
yet.
Right, so
I hope
then-
I will have one soon. That's
Okay, that's fair.
It's kind of
Then on the French Lick stuff, you're just going to go inventory that, or will that be brought up here too?
I believe both. I
Okay.
believe the intent is to go over to actually be able to see it, inventory it, and then make arrangements to get it back here safely to Terre Haute.
Okay.
Will the exhibits be permanent, or will you be able to change out some of the memorabilia throughout?
That we will find out once we have our Zoom meeting with Hilferty. They were the ones who had created the design plan for this as far as the layout and the contents. We're in the process of getting the meeting rescheduled. Unfortunately, it was originally scheduled for a time when many of us couldn't be present for it. So that's part of the meeting that we are trying to get rescheduled, just to see exactly what they are wanting to do. The original intent was to be able to rotate it around periodically. With limited space, some of those displays may stay longer than what was originally intended, so we may not be able to swap them out as often as what we once had wanted to. So there will be some change, just probably not as frequently as what we had originally intended it to be.
So that will determine if the design has storage space.
Exactly. And I think that being able to use this off-site location for storage, it will also help with being able to swap things out too, because we will actually have them right there, conveniently located to where we can kind of come and go to swap them out. Anything
Any
else?
questions? Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Item 6.7 on our agenda under old business is an update on legal matters, Kroger, Gardus, and Regas LLP with Doug Kowalski. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning.
And before you get started, our auditor had a question for you.
Oh, sure. I'll need to look into that for you, because I'm prepared to answer that at this time. I'll get back to you very shortly.
Okay.
No significant legal updates. Brian Bosma sends his regards. We're currently working with Spectra on the procurement policy. Indiana statute sets out general guidelines, but there's flexibility for the CIB to adopt certain policies. Also, we want to make sure that we tailor that policy for kind of specific items or processes that Spectra envisions through their experience, what they've done in other venues. So we're working with them to develop that policy. Then we're researching the ability to have sponsorship signage. I know there's interest in having kind of a naming right on the digital sign outside the convention center, and then potentially on the rooms themselves. So we're researching that as well. But other than that, no significant legal updates. To answer any questions, and I will get back to Auditor Trammell as well.
You just share that with all of us when you get it.
Do you have any update on the easements and things like that that we're still waiting to acquire?
That we're still working through that process right now.
Nope.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
welcome.
Item number 7, new business, 7.1, the approval of the Terre Haute Convention Center logo. Victoria, RGL Solutions LLC, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. Victoria Meyer with RJL Solutions. Thank you all for your feedback, your input, your recommendations over the last couple of weeks as we move forward with the process of finding the perfect logo for the coming Terre Haute Convention Center so that Spectra can go ahead and move forward with some of their marketing materials. The image on this screen has been the favorable option as of earlier this week. So you'll see that it, of course, is an architectural rendering that really showcases the facade of the building, a lot of intricate details there, but it will also transfer nicely into embroidery pieces, which Spectra intends to use for a lot of their clothing and hats and things of that nature. The last couple of logos that you had seen showed two different color palettes. So the navy blue, as seen here, was the preferred option from the majority of the board. I believe, and I know Spectra believes as well, that this will complement the interior of the building, understanding that the warm tones will probably fit nicely within the interior. So I am happy to answer any questions that you may have and move this forward whenever you're ready.
There were several other more modern in design looks at this thing, and but the board did vote, at least express their opinion correctly on, or correct on.
Yes, absolutely. 6 of the board members have chosen this one. One of the board members did not answer, but in a previous vote, he had expressed that he was not design oriented, so he didn't really want to state his opinion. But yes, the majority have chosen this color palette and
You're right.
this option.
Yeah, it was Steve.
Any questions?
It might not be your question to answer, but I was just wondering, are we tying in furniture design now that we've chosen a logo with the color palettes of the furniture and accessories in the building?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what Spectra's process will be with that, but I anticipate that the color palettes seen below will be definitely implemented throughout multiple features of the interior.
Tenille, do you know? You know the interior,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get. So we'll be able to tie it all together.
And I think having this approved color palette will also be very supplemental for those conversations as she works through that.
Has this final selection been shared with the wayfinding group that's working on the signage
Yeah.
throughout the rest of the community to direct people to the convention center?
Yeah, no, it has not yet, so
Okay,
that will be our next
So that needs to
step.
happen, because I think next month, I'm going to have them come and do a presentation.
Sure.
About what we're doing outside to
Yep.
direct people, to the convention center. So we need to make sure they get that and fold that
Certainly.
into their presentation.
Okay, perfect. Yes,
Okay.
I will do that. Thank you.
you not want us to vote on this?
No. What I mean is, we're doing a wayfinding project. We've been working on it for a couple of years,
Yep.
and they've got the proposals back. We know what the exact costs are going to be and where we're going to install these bigger signs at certain locations to direct people to a variety of things, including the convention center. And we're trying to make sure there's a theme with what we're doing on 46, with what we're doing downtown, with what ISU intends to do in the future, so there's a theme to this. There'll still be some differences, but we want to make sure they see this and incorporate that in, because the convention center will benefit greatly from this signage that's going to be put up around town. No, we can do that. We just get that to that group.
Thank you, Victoria. I guess we need to approve the logo, and we'll do that by motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the new Terre Haute Convention Center logo.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the Convention Center logo as presented by RJL Solutions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed to it? So moved. You can get your cards and business letter now. All right, number 8 on our agenda is other business. 8.1, any questions, comments from the members of the board? All right. I do have one. I'm kind of excited like Brian was last month about how fast and smoothly it seems to be going. And heck, maybe we can get it open in January, huh? Maybe not.
I'll let you know here in a couple of months.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Our next regular board meeting, the regular board meeting will be August the 18th, 2021, same time and same place. However, as I said earlier, we will probably have to have a special meeting to approve the budget and then to be able to present it to the county council. Like I said, we are running about 30 days behind, and hopefully the council will bear with us as we're a completely new organization here to the county, and we have to devise and direct different things in this budget to make sure we comply with not only our county council, but the State Board of Accounts, to make sure we're doing everything the way they say to do it. Okay, any further comments? We'll stand adjourned. Thank you.
I'd be happy to. Okay, I will. Uh-huh.